The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall continue to follow me all the days of this protracted experience of death, and I will dwell in the house of the most super intelligent, power, source, and force of love and creation forever. What's happening? Benson here. Just hit the road, headed for Roanoke, Virginia. GPS says we will arrive 12:07, but 30-minute break. Make lunch at some point, fuel the rig. Innumerable pee breaks. I'd say no later than 2 p.m. Barring any unforeseen occurrences, of course. Hopefully our connection's good. At this customer site, the dedicated customer in Connecticut, where I spent all of yesterday, last night, all of yesterday, and then went to sleep, yesterday evening. Just woke up. Trailer was loaded, bills of lading in the trailer, signed them, left their copies in the drop slot, and took pictures of all the bills, sent those to the company, and here we are, rolling out. Crawling through town. Come on, light. There's multiple routes out of town. This would most likely be the shortest and the quickest. It's 2 a.m. There's no traffic, and we're stopping for lights, damn it. Took like 30. Well, there's the popo. Good thing I stopped. Sometimes I'll run them. Good thing I stopped. Not here, I just mean generally. He's probably bored. Not a sign of life. Hell, he's probably asleep. Dude, my 70-year-old father occasionally lately emails me links to YouTube videos. I can't listen to them, man. I'm going to tell you, these boomers are being heavily programmed by all of these platforms. And, I almost always listen with headphones on, and I've got a lot of experience with the binaural beats, right? The brainwave entrainment. This is straight up brainwave entrainment, man. I got about 30 seconds in, and I could just feel the fucking dread, man. And I think it was this heavily produced video tying in, a lot of Trump criticism with, biblical scriptures around the Antichrist. And I think a lot of these boomers are have turned anti-government and anti-U.S. over time, and but then still, still fully indoctrinated with the Cold War propaganda. So it's not even a turn; it's like an updating of their programming. It's fucked up, man. And I'm telling you, they don't have any. Most of them don't seem to have any resistance to this technology. It just it swallows them up. I remember years ago, uh, my dad at his apartment came into the room. I was just about to go back to work for the first time after, getting off the booze, almost dying, but not dying, and all of that. And he would be on his iPad, and then he like rushed into the living room and declared himself to be a Sigma male and something else. I don't even remember. Oh, empath. Yeah. And I'm looking at him like, well, you're, senior class president, defensive captain of the football team, right? Like, pretty sure that's stereotypical alpha, 6'2", fucking broad shouldered, big dude, good looking. Yeah, I don't think that's going to be Sigma there, partner. But whatever. And then the empath, somebody who's most likely, and again, not to insult them, but exhibits signs of classical narcissism, clear signs. Like, oh, empath, okay. Same thing as narcissist, apparently. Which I've got my own thoughts on that. But so now YouTube's programming him with a bunch of weird and geopolitical, a lot of weird geopolitics. So it's a wrap. Not that it hasn't been, but it's even more of a wrap. Pack it up. It's over. It never started, as some of the kids like to say. Never began. Well, I made it to Whole Foods yesterday, and I don't know that regret would be the proper term. Hell, I guess I should have just had some Whole Foods pizza, but there was a pizza place in the area. And I said, fuck it, I don't get very many days to just chillax. I didn't. I was just waiting around all day. I knew they weren't going to have me ready till the morning, and then I was able to work the schedule to where, I could go to sleep and then wake up at 1 a.m., rush through my morning routine, and I wanted to roll out by 2:30. It's 2:33, and I'm about to hit the interstate, so it's working out. I don't want to have to chase my tail for 10 hours of driving. And this is all the difference in the world. This entire, however many miles it's been since the customer, this was 30 solid minutes, 9 minutes at 2:30 a.m. Well, 12. It was, but it was 18. So plus 18 minutes for leaving, in the daytime, the afternoon last time. Yeah, plus 18 minutes. It might have been longer than 30. I wasn't really counting until I realized how bad the traffic was going to be. And the title of the stream, I'm not sure why, but I was looking at old episodes of Bonanza, the TV show from the early 60s. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Let's climb aboard old Benton. He's the pace setter. Don't pay no attention to that 65. Benton has magically appeared, so he sets the pace. It's 57 unless I speed up. Well, they just froze next to me. They're going the exact speed I'm going. There's a truck behind them trying to climb the hill, and they're gonna just sit there. They're gonna just sit there. We're going 57 all the way to Virginia, sir. What are we doing? It's comical. There's no headlights anywhere else in my vision. There's just magically these vehicles on the road, and they're just magically going to try to drive with me. 57 and a 65. He was going to hang right next to us, and we got a group of three behind us, and they're hanging with the semi behind me, and he can't get up the hill. It's a hill, and he's probably heavy. Out of their fucking minds, man. And now that one car is drunk, and they got a tail light out, and they're just up there going 57. I hit the air horn, so they got away from me. They're just in front of me, going slow as fuck. So mathematically, what is the likelihood that I lived my whole life up until this point, and I've just gotten onto the interstate after, many events had to coalesce. Now I got another one behind me at 47, and he's got a headlight out. I'm hitting the fucking fast lane, and if they want to pull me over, I'm going to tell them exactly what's going on. These motherfuckers are crazy. Absolutely crazy. Within 1 minute of getting onto the interstate, this is what's happening. You're going to tell me this is a real world? Bullshit. And of course, we're already all going 65 because Benton's going 65. Everybody's going to go 70 now. They were going 57, all of them. Then they was going 47, all of them. And now they're all going to go 70. And so no matter what speed I go, that's the speed they go. I mean, this is complete insanity. Complete and total insanity. I halfway hope I get pulled over so I can tell the cop, listen, man, these people are crazy. And nobody's using the fast lane, clearly. Everybody thinks that hammer lane means a ticket, so maybe they're right. You got me pulled over, but I can't deal with it, partner. I can't take it. I'm going to have to quit truck driving if this is what it's going to be. And so now here's the original one that wanted to hang with me at 57. I'm not even hardly going to be able to pass him at 71, and we're going into a damn 45-degree turn that I probably ought to be slowing down for. He's going to fight me to the death. And I'll probably look in the mirror, and he'll be trying to keep up with me. It's raining a little bit, sure. There could be some winter weather, sure. I mean, they treat the fuck out of the winter, but I mean, this is crazy. Got to speed and get in the fast lane for self-defense. All right, I think we're finally free. I'm going to slow down to 68. Hell, I went to Walmart first thing yesterday morning in the bobtail, and there was a couple of empty flatbeds merging. I fucking hammered down and got in front of them. Why would I hang out with them? Why would I slow down? Why would I hang out with them? It just doesn't make a damn bit of sense. Country's gone, man. Been gone. I'm not sure it was ever here in the first place. But if it was, it's gone now, Jack. And then just every once in a while, here's just a normal person driving normal, and cruise right past me. Of course, he's caught me perfectly to where there's somebody in the breakdown lane with a wrecker. I won't be able to get over for them. perfectly right there to block me in with uh, gigantic orange lights. They can't see them. They're on their phone. So they're perfectly in the middle lane. I got my signal on. Hey, I see human bodies damn near in the lane of travel. Y'all gonna let me over? Had to get on the air horn for them to get over. Gigantic, pitch black, gigantic fucking yellow lights. I can still see them in my rear view. They don't, no idea. No idea. Just totally clueless. So this is who's going to wake up and fix things. They're going to wake up and see what's happening. Motherfucker, they can't see emergency lights in the breakdown lane. And heavy wreckers, probably about to tow a big rig off the interstate. They can't even see that. How they gonna see anything else? And again, the spiritual attack, right? Just everybody's going slow as fuck, and then here comes some that perfectly blocked me in with no traffic, and damn near forced me to either slow way down or to get within a foot of somebody standing on the fucking shoulder. Trying to see if anybody's going to crash into them and kill them, which happens way more than people may realize. The tow man or the driver that's getting towed off the interstate. Oh, but be safe. Oh, yeah, well, I'm going to get right back there on the roads with whoever tells me to be safe at the truck stop, and they're not going to see the fucking emergency lights, and they're going to box me in. But, yeah, be safe. Okay. I guess we know what the air horn's for. Be safe. Well, we've said it, so there's no reason to do it. We gave it lip service. Wow. Waking dream, surrealistic unreality, deja vu all over again. And I'm just watching it happen like he's really going to fucking box me in. He's really going to fucking box me in. Yep. And this is what I mean by there's not real physics here. Just the mathematics of just perfectly being in the perfect spot to almost prevent my lane change for safety. And here's the thing is it's consistent over time. I've seen it so much. It's really not a surprise. Honestly. Like, yep, this is what happens. First, I get on the interstate and they just immediately cling to me and match my speed. And if I speed up, they speed up. If I slow down, they slow down. And then I break free from that. Oh, look, here comes somebody driving normally. Oh, look, they're going 80. Oh, look, gigantic rotating orange emergency lights. Oh, look, we're going to perfectly meet the broke down rig on the road. I'm going to get there at the same time as the person that's about to pass me at 80. We're all going to meet at this one point. Isn't that fascinating? And what better motivator to unlock the achievement of true knowledge of self to say, well, maybe I can get beamed the fuck up out of here one of these days. What was on Jesus's mind when he ascended to the heaven? Was it some version? I can't wait to get the fuck up out of here. I mean, for real, for real, for real. I can't wait to get up out of here. Let me get on to whatever's next. So if you ask me, why not work towards, uncovering and walking the righteous perfected path that may lie within. And if one discovers, wow, I guess there's not a righteous path within. I mean, the being is seemingly trapped here either way. So, hey, at least you took your shot. You shot your shot, right? At this point, beam me the fuck up out of here. Pretty please, with sugar on top. There's the snow plow salt truck combo. But it's raining, 33 degrees on the dash. But yeah, so I got me a little small pizza. Because the menu at the local place said olive oil. And, I don't eat. Now, I could have went for the gluten-free, but I did a little research, and they actually buy their gluten-free crust frozen. But then I come to realize I think their regular crust comes in frozen. It's quality. You can tell it was quality ingredients, but it's all, store-bought. I don't know if they make their own sauce or whatever. Probably not. I don't know that Connecticut's known for their pizza anyway, but and it's not because it was bad or food poisoning, but it reminds me of why I don't eat this stuff anymore. My stomach is tore the fuck up, man. At least by the standards of somebody who's gotten used to, other than some occasional bloating, feeling pretty good in the old intestine. So that may be what a little bit of some of the slight annoyance might be this morning. But, and I had a little BO. I haven't had any BO at all for like over probably almost 2 weeks, which is kind of crazy to think about. But I finally just changed my shirt. Like, never had a smell. I mean, it's crazy. I even had to check, like, do I have COVID again? Fuck, can I just not smell anything? But yeah, I can still smell. And I'm telling y'all, the BO is mostly diet. People kind of have this idea, well, Benton showers twice a month, if that, and they just assume I stink. It's like, no, not really. Some chemicals in the food, it's the chemicals in the deodorant, it's the chemicals in the soaps, it's whatever's in the water. One of the main reasons I don't like to shower is whatever's in the water goes into my tap water. Oh, the skin's the body's largest organ. Okay, well, let's fucking douse it in some chemicals then. It's a great plan. What could possibly go wrong? Wasn't worth it. I mean, it was tasty. I don't have no, they skimped on the cheese a little bit, but I don't have no complaints. Tasted good. But, and I don't give a fuck about gluten free, but if I think if I would have went with the gluten free, I don't think my stomach would be as tore up as it is. Although Tom Brady famously avoided nightshades, of which tomato is a nightshade, but I like tomato sauce. I think it's good to have some every once in a while. But anyway, I'll be fine. Reminds me of how tore up my stomach got when I drank too much back in Echo Park on Sunset. My It took me like 5 days to get back to normal. And I wasn't hungover. It was just, it did a number on my gut flora, my gut bacteria. I was all cranky and agitated. Didn't sleep good for several nights. It fucked me all up, man. I feel like this pizza did a little bit of that, although I didn't really get a good night's sleep because I forgot to I forgot all about the straps, so they had to wake me up at like 9 p.m. to get some straps. I was like, why are they waking me up? I thought maybe it was somebody else that didn't know that I was asleep out there. But he's like, yeah, man, we need some straps. I was like, fucking straps. Fuck. Because I knew that there's, like, I thought of everything. If you ever just back your brain, you thought of everything, and then it's like, not. But, I don't, because it's so fucking hot when I try to go to sleep. But then it gets cold in the night, and at a certain point, I turn the heater on. We hadn't got to that point yet. So, he had to make him wait a few minutes. I just opened the door, and I don't, I'm not mad or anything. It's not his fault. And the job comes first anyway, but and I could tell he was real apologetic. And it was like, hey, man, the job comes first. I ain't messed up about it. But he was nice enough to dig the straps out of my side box so I didn't have to put my socks and shoes on, get out of the truck. And it pays to treat people well. I've been real. Some would probably call it ass kissy, but it ain't that. It's just, hey, man, I'm here to do a good job. I'm here to help you guys out. Y'all help me out. Let's work together. And, we don't need to be buddies. And I'm not interested. I don't say it this way, but it's like, I'm not trying to be their buddies. It's just like, why not be in a good mood? Why not be, affable? Why not communicate? Right. And the one guy likes to complain about all the truck drivers. I get it. I'm like, yeah, man, believe me, I know. And because I can see my company's starting to use their facility like a fucking drop lot and a truck stop. And, what's going to happen is the conditions are going to, every single day it's going to get a little worse until eventually, whoever the boss is going to have enough of that facility, and it's going to be a big crackdown. And so I'm telling the warehouse guys, like, look, man, I only control me, but I'll tell you this: anything y'all ever need me to do, just ask me. I'll be happy to do it. I said, I'm going to be asking y'all, since I'm new around here, I'm going to be asking questions because, just little things. Like I noticed, I was talking about this guy with my company that inexplicably hooked up to the trailer that I was about to deliver. He's about to stick it in a dock door. It's like, oh, it doesn't go there. But then I see where he dropped it, and he dropped it right in front of where all the warehouse people take their smoke break. And I'm like, hey, man, how? And I didn't say it to him, but it's like, haven't you noticed that that's where every single person that smokes cigarettes walks over and smokes over there? Why'd you put a trailer over there? Like they want to stand over there and look at like, I don't know why they smoke cigarettes and face the building, and I don't know what they're doing. But that's what they do. Or if there's a couple of them out there, they'll have a chit chat. Like why is there a trailer over there? It just doesn't even make sense. So just little things like when I go pick the trailer up, I'm like, hey man, I don't know why you left this trailer here. And I never would have done this. This is crazy. Let me get this out of here. And the guy didn't really say anything, but you could tell that's what he was thinking. Like, why is there a fucking trailer here? This is not the trailer drop area. What's going on? Truckers, man, that's what's going on. Pooey, we disconnected. We're back. What up, Leslie? Leslie up late, I'm guessing, or up early? One of the two. Hardly working hard or hardly working? Yeah, let me change my vibe. I got a little bit of exasperation. That's the word. Exasperation. Bring it down a notch, sir. I'm glad I got that Rain X on the windshield. That's working out really good. Mighty fine. Oh yeah, so I went and got this pizza, and it actually I'm sort of overblowing the stomach distress, but I felt fine yesterday after I ate it. Some of that, of course, is limiting my portions. 'Cause I can eat a large pizza, no problem. In fact, I probably would have thrown the last couple of pieces away, except they skimped on the cheese, and I wasn't patient enough to let it cool down enough to kind of solidify, so it, half the shit slid off the pizza anyway. That was on me. Another reason I like to get slices, it kind of, even if they heat it up, it's everything's pretty much congealed. They cook it the first time, and then it everything sort of sets in, and then the reheating. You know, I really think that's the way to go overall. I'm such an early bird. I had to wait for the place to open, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. But then as I'm eating it, I'm like, I don't really feel like I'm missing out. I think it's good to sort of revisit, every once in a while, types of foods I'm not eating. I don't eat any bread, and I'm not anti-bread. Clearly, I had bread in the form of pizza crust. I'm not anti-red meat. I just hardly ever eat it anymore. I'll have some fatty brisket. I eat egg yolks every day. Sardines. It's funny because I talk about rice and fish and beans, and that somebody wants to call me. They're like, "Oh, pescatarian." I'm like, "Oh man, I don't. I eat red meat, just not very often. I'll have some bread here and there, although I don't even know is that off limits for pescatarian. I think people make a mistake when they get into these ideologies around food. Just my opinion. They turned that into a religion in a way. A lot of it. But yeah, Boomer Dad, man, sending me the links to whatever he's listening to these days. It's pretty fucking shocking. It's it's just I couldn't get through 45 seconds of it because I'm just like, man, this is heavy fucking programming. I mean, heavy in your face programming. I got to where I used to download those binaural beats and brainwave entrainment. Oh, we're in Newtown. Look out, Sandy Hook. We'll be coming up on the Sandy Hook exit. And what I'm talking about? I got to watching some of the ones on YouTube, and after a while, I was like, got a bad feeling. I said, I think some of this is demonic. It's you can tell that whoever programmed it was maybe had some bad intention. So I not entirely, but I became a lot more discriminating with the ones I was listen to off of YouTube. That was immediately could tell. It was like back in the day when I very first ran into Jack Talcott, the phenomenon known as Jack Talcott, and I'm listening to his voice. It's like this motherfucker's doing NLP, man. I could spot that NLP a mile away, and that's how I ran off Dark Glasses Woody. If anybody remembers, famous commenter and contributor to the channel, Dark Glasses Woody. Excellent commenter, very brilliant dude. And he left a comment on one of my videos, and I'm reading it. And I'm like, this is motherfucking NLP. Why is he leading me through like he's this description of emotions and feelings? It's like, hey, you ever feel like, and it's just like real flowery, detailed, emotional journey. And I just replied with a laughing emoji. And I'm like, nope, sure don't. Like, I know I don't ever feel any of that, actually, sir. Not in this context. Like, why? And that's what NLP is, that the neuro-linguistic programming is. It's leading the subject through this emotional, like, journey, right? With a lot of flowery language and descriptions, and also, if you're listening to somebody talk, it's certain vocal tone and manners of speech, right? But it can also be, the way the writing is structured. It's like there's this prison YouTuber I like, and I guess he wrote a book or something, but he's no writer. So sometimes he'll write like one of his stories that he wants to tell. But when he talks extemporaneously, and when he just has a topic and talks, he's real interesting. But when he writes some shit and reads it, it's just fucking terrible. I can't listen to it. I'm just like, man, it's like, and look, I'm no great writer, but like, this is like what I wrote like in the 8th grade, probably. I mean, not even. I don't think I ever wrote like this, but it's, it's grammatically correct. It's coherent, but it's like, this is childish. This is a grown ass life experienced man, if he just told this story, it would be, and a lot of like unnecessary sort of flowery descriptions of like, it's what a person writes like when they think they want to be a writer, and they're sort of in, it's like, hey man, you can skip all the flowery descriptions of scene setting. That's not really going to help us any. So, type shit. So yeah, I got to go to Whole Foods. That was pretty awesome, and none of the women bothered me, thank God. A couple of, and here, just normal. Like I went in Starbucks first and got an excellent nitro cold brew on tap. I don't ever get the cold brew at Starbucks unless they have it on tap, because otherwise it's pre-made out of the jug. It's like, yeah, I can buy that at Walmart. Why would I get that here? That's crazy. And number one, the mostly Caucasian LGBTQ plus tranny staff, and not all of them, but some of them, had some Rainbow Coalition customers hanging out. One of them masked to the gills, and I don't give a fuck. Don't bother me. If my presence doesn't bother them, why would they bother me? Right? The one masked up chick I could tell was a little, but she was fucking, everything made her nervous. It's like, yeah, pretty much on brand. If I'm making you nervous, lady. You know what I mean? Like, why take that personally? But unlike New Boston, Texas, where the white fucking college girls, daddy's little girl, fucking, he's hunting and fishing, MAGA conservative, most likely. And I can't even get in the front door before they're staring daggers at me. Uh, you know, uh, Connecticut, here I am in Starbucks. They weren't overly friendly. I don't even need, just be neutral, man. Treat me neutrally. And if I start tripping, don't put up with that. But I'm not going to start tripping. And, like one pretty good looking woman's checking me out. I checked her out. Fair enough. We're good. Are we good? We're good. Okay, we're good. We're good here. A man looked at her and appreciated her natural beauty. Probably all she wanted out of it. See, that's normal. That's natural and normal, right? And then she made sure to get her double dose. She double dipped before I got out of there, right? Fair enough, lady. Quite attractive. Not necessarily my taste overall, but I am a man, so, or at least having a male experience over here, right? Might have preferred whoever she was sitting with, except I'm not going to stare the table down. You see, that's half of it. Is she knows she's the hot one, and by God, she's going to get the attention. So I'm pretty sure there was a cute, sort of, understated cute chick next to her. I don't know. I couldn't get that far, right? It's like I don't want to have to eyeball fuck the first one to get to the second one. I got to stare a broad down and display my dominance just to be able to look at the other one. Like, let me out of here. But it doesn't matter, man. Everybody got what they wanted, and the understated chick probably don't give a flying fuck. It's like, yeah, it's a truck driver. I'm pretty sure these people can spot a truck driver. Yeah, who cares? Yeah, he's a decent looking truck driver with some testosterone with fucking gray hair. Who cares? Oh, I don't care. I assure you. Not me. I don't care. But yeah, I can still, whatever little bit of attention the hot chick needs, I can give it to her. Sure, I'm happy. Happy to help. Extra assistance. Moving on. Delicious nitro cold brew. Worth of almost $6. And carried that around the Whole Foods. And yeah, a couple of women gave me a little flyby, and that's normal. Again, that's supposed to happen. Going to buzz the tower a couple times here and there, but the fucking homos relentlessly cruise by the homos, man. Good God. 3 different homos. And this demonic sex addiction's off the fucking charts, man. I finally figured it out. I'm hard headed. I'm dense. Davy Crocco, may peace be upon him. When he was still living, I used to say, thank God for Crocco, because if not for him, I might be the densest motherfucker in the so-called truth community. He's gone, and I guess it's me. But I finally figured it out. Because I'm almost always in the Whole Foods, if I'm in the Whole Foods, fairly early in the morning. Goddamn sex addicts in there, I'm telling you. And fresh meat. Oh, we ain't never seen this one before. Fucking A, man. Get away from me. But I enjoyed mostly being fucking ignored by the passerbys. I had a lovely time. Nobody tried to talk to me. I didn't try to talk to anybody. you know, very, a couple of quips here and there with the, the lady at the Starbucks when oh shit, where that guy came from. And the big rig snuck up on me. Must have just entered the interstate. But that's why we always look in our mirrors, folks. Hope he forgives me. Sometimes they need to get their vengeance. And see, everything I'm driving through right now, it would be heavy traffic if I had left. If I had to leave yesterday in the afternoon or evening, so it'd be just heavy traffic this whole way. Smooth fucking sailing right now. Yeah. And here he comes. He wants his vengeance. Pound of flesh. FedEx pulling doubles. Day cab though. Actual FedEx employee. FedEx Freight. FedEx Ground's a different company. But yeah, I was the 20 something gal at working the counter at the Starbucks. I got the Cash App debit card, so sometimes I don't know, man. It's got some weird inconsistencies at point of sale sometimes. I thought I tapped because it's got the chip and you can tap to pay with the card, but it's hit or miss. So I thought I tapped. The next thing you know, it's telling me to swipe, but it ain't swiping, and so I'm sure they've dealt with enough old folks that can't operate the point of sale. So she tries to take over, and I'm just like, but without being rude or cranky, I managed to say, "Well, I think I'm almost there." But and then I chalked it up to a boomer moment. She actually laughed when I said, "Oh, I was having a boomer moment." She laughed. Just little things like that. Keep it moving. A little bit of cranky energy from what may have been a trans person barista. Hard to tell. Hard to tell. Not particularly feminine or attractive, certainly, but just more of a formal. Thank you very much. I hope you have a lovely day. Right? Type energy. Right? Fair enough. Thank you for not disemboweling me on site. Much appreciated. I'll be on my way. But no staring daggers at me. No being shitty to me. No, that's reserved for white, blonde college girls in conservative parts of the country. Communistas, I call them. Daddy's little communista. MAGA's daughters are post-feminist. They've been trained to hate my guts. And by God, they hate my guts. But Hey, going to Starbucks on Sunset, although of course it's closed now. My favorite Starbucks on Sunset Boulevard in Echo Park, it's no longer in operation. Thanks. Always been treated A plus service every time. Every motherfucking time. Never anything but the best service. Even when you could tell they're not into it, even when you could tell they got something going on in their personal life. Professional, proper customer service every time I've went in that place. And I was going every day for a while. And treated so poorly in New Boston, Texas, couldn't wait to get the fuck out of there. I swear to God, they denied me a free cup of water. And I thought to myself, you know what? It's not even worth getting into it with these people. Walked across the street to McDonald's. They was happy to. I said, hey, listen, I just need to rinse my mouth out. I just ate some cookies. Forgot that I wandered too far from my own water. It's in my car. So if you don't mind, I'd just like to rinse out my mouth real quick. The sugar off my teeth. Oh, yeah, here you go. Have fun. Thanks. And meanwhile, yeah, I could buy some water. Starbucks bitch trying to sell me bottled water. Like, bitch, I got water in my car. Trying not to walk all the fucking way back over there. This bitch wouldn't have spat on me if I was on fire, man. Actually, she probably would have. She just would have made sure to miss the fire. Would have found a spot where it wasn't aflame yet. Although I guess that might keep it from bursting into flame. But I definitely detected a slight tinge of the we don't like the certain type of white male, high testosterone white male. We're not into it. But yeah, fair enough. I'll be on my way, but still treated me properly, professionalism, and what I may or may not detect in the air. It's neither here nor there on some level. And if their experience is that most of the guys that they run into like me think they're weird, it's like, yeah, I don't think you're weird, but yeah, I get it. Like, I'm weird. Why can't y'all tell I'm weird? That's my question. You hate me. You hate what you think I represent so much you can't spot my weirdness. Now that's shame. That's a shame indeed. But that's the first time I've been to Starbucks in recent memory where I was just able to fucking shop and get left the fuck alone. And it was lovely. Just wander around the store. Of course, my chocolate was on sale and therefore sold out. I'm just looking at it like, why is this? It's like half the time I go in there, they put my chocolate on sale and it immediately sells out. But they have, various other various other flavors of the same brand that all have sugar they're never sold out. Why am I taking 680? What is this thing? Where are we going? Yeah, I guess this is the right way. Oh shit! After looking at the GPS a little too much and took a little too much speed into this off ramp. Thankfully, we're lightly loaded. Otherwise, we might have had to abort the mission there for safety. And I don't know if this is still the case, but since I've been fascinated with statistics my whole life or trivia, uh, I've been knowing for years that historically Connecticut's always been the number one state for median household income, highest median income by state. And actually, I think it might not be number one all the time anymore, but it's one or two or maybe three at the worst every year. So even I ended up going to the ghetto Walmart, but it was such a nice Walmart. The building, and it had the nice floors. It was a. I had to do research to make sure it was a proper super center with the produce section and everything. But then I got to the eggs, and I couldn't help myself. I said out loud, I done gone to the ghetto Walmart. I said shit, which I think the workers might have been confused by. It's like I'm not, because I didn't mean to imply that that might be a bad thing, but I was just confused because of how nice the Walmart was. So Connecticut they make so much money in Connecticut, even the ghetto Walmart's nice. I said, man, this is crazy. Nice parking lot, nice area. The area looked visually nice, but then you can tell the product selection, especially the eggs. It was all great value. All they had was great value brand. That's the surest sign of a ghetto Walmart. They just don't buy the other stuff. Period. Like, yeah, you can put them fancy eggs out till you're blue in the face. They're not buying them. They're getting regular old white eggs, and ain't nothing wrong with that. And they had like one case of the Eggland's Best, that I get. But it was going to be such a pain in the ass that I could see them, but it was going to have to try to drag them out of there. It was like still in the box how they come off the truck. So probably they have like one regular customer that raises hell. So they probably just figured out how to pull the string. They keep a case for him, probably, him or her. I didn't bother, but I notice all this stuff. People are nice and friendly, and yeah, you can tell when people are worried and stressed out. But there was some of that. But sadly, I hate to say this, but you know, having a decent amount of money or access to a decent amount of money at least. Um, I'm pretty sure I saw a homeless lady in Starbucks, and I shoot black. Can you talk, sir? Or are you going to stutter? Ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah, ting, tang, walla, walla, bing, bang. Ting, tang, walla, walla, bing, bang. Anyway, I swear Uber pulled up. She grabbed her, shopping bags, and her clothes were nice and clean. But I can spot a homeless person. Maybe she's, on the waiting list for housing, all of this in the system. But yeah, she got into an Uber and left. Like, damn, upscale. I like it. Even the po folks is upscale. Dude, why does my see? This has just got to be StreamYard. My screen keeps turning itself off. We're not disconnected. This is the screen's turning itself off inexplicably. It's fucking strange. So I actually just happened to look over when it happened. But as far as America, man, I'm telling you, well, do whatever you want, and you're going to anyway. But abandon, abandon all hope, or abandon. Is it abandon ye hope? I looked this up the other day. The way that quote from Dante's Inferno is worded is kind of strange. It's more or less boils down to abandon hope, all ye who enter here. And it's like, for whatever reason you've entered here, hope is a mistake. You're placing your hope in a job market, an economy, a government, corporations, financial institutions. Ain't no future in any of that. Clearly, none whatsoever. So, why bother? Hang on, I need to blow my nose. All right. Much better. But yeah, talking about old episodes of Bonanza, which I was never a fan of that show. That's I've watched a lot of these old shows in reruns. I never could get into Bonanza, but Michael Landon was a young feller, or portrayed a young feller in that show in the early '60s, and he won a Chinese he won a Chinese girl in a poker game, and then he tried to immediately set her free, and she was like, basically, of course, she spoke English somehow, and they had some flimsy reason for her to be understanding and pretending to have broken English. Preston Way Bridge closed. I don't know what that is. I know I'm going over a bridge. I don't know what it's called. Hang on. I guess I got to check Google Maps. Fucking bridge closed. Surely not. Oh, yeah. No, that's not it. It's called something different. And so, just looking at what America was watching in 1961 versus just and see, I think part of the problem is that because of the current shit show, it's easy to look back fondly at the past, but it's like, that was also a surreal fucking shit show. Why? Why was that entertainment in 1961? Michael Landon in the Old West apparently winning human beings in poker games. But of course, they played it like he thought he felt the guy was wagering a horse because they went outside to look at. The guy's like, "Well, I've got something outside, worth $150 or whatever." Then Michael Landon's like, "Well, I want to go see." And Michael Landon thinks it's the horse that's tied up, but it's a Chinese woman. It's got her back standing in the back of her. Right. How did all this pass for entertainment back in the day? Right. It's I just don't see how that was charming and whimsical and innocent versus, oh, look at the depravity that's going on today. And I'm thinking, well, 1961, you had poverty, you had urban decay, urban renewal. You know, uh, some may say, well, it's always blamed on Nixon for whatever reason, but supposedly going off the gold standard in like 71 or whatever it was. But I mean, that was 10 years down the road, but there was already the Federal Reserve System since 1913. Yeah, FedEx is driving like an idiot. He pulled away from me, and now he's caught up to him again. Can't decide if he's driving the wheels off of it or if he's looking at his phone. He gets he's trying to do both. He's wiggling all over the road. Are we bringing back FedRex? When I first started driving a truck, this is not an exaggeration. 50% of the time that I drove past a big rig rolled over on the interstate, it was a FedEx pulling doubles. And I haven't seen that in a long time, and starting to wonder if they're going to bring it back. How did I catch up to you, sir? What are you doing? All right, I guess we got to pass him. I don't know. He's already speeding up. Give me a minute. There he goes wiggling again. Wiggle wagging. And it's funny listening to this tragic reality. He won't claim it, but it's a black pill. It's at least got certain so-called black pill themes in his channel, whether he considers himself in the genre or not. Millennial themes definitely black pill. Hat flying, aka DBDR. But, most of y'all probably don't know who that is, which is fine. There's a lot of YouTubers I don't know who the fuck they are. That's neither here nor there. But one of my favorites is when some boomer, that one of these gigantic influencers is in the news, and they go, "Well, I never heard of," as if that means anything. It's like, oh, you've never heard of boomer, like that means anything. When you're sort of implying, well, they can't be that famous if I've never heard of them. It's like, yeah, why would you have heard of them? It means nothing. I already know. Well, if I've never heard of a particular YouTuber, that doesn't mean anything. It just means I've never heard of them. There's no meaning. There's too much content, or it's a lot different. But I dropped my famous "Life as a Breakfast" cereal. Mikey likes it in Tragic Reality's live chat. He responded to it and was like, "I don't know what that means." Well, number one, I don't know, man. I don't eat breakfast cereal either, but you know, it's a cereal in the it's in the cereal aisle at your local grocery store. It's been a major national brand of cereal I'm assuming my entire life. And it was an extremely famous TV ad campaign. And so here's where the young folks, in my opinion, do themselves a disservice, is because they've only really existed in the internet era for the most part. So he's like, because I said, well, it was a very famous series of TV commercials. It's a huge, man, huge. And it's like, well, I don't know who watches TV commercials. It's like, okay, what's that have to do with television has been gigantic since the 1950s, and I understand it's on the wane, but it's probably not ever going to completely go away, as we see with radio. And there's going to be the Super Bowl in a few months. And what's one of the biggest things about the Super Bowl? The Super Bowl. People want to see what the TV commercials are going to be. So it's like, how is it nobody watches commercials, but TV commercials is still sort of in the zeitgeist, right? So it's like, I don't know, man. Google it. Like, you could just Google "Life breakfast cereal. Mikey likes it." I'm sure the AI will be happy to tell you that this was a cultural phenomenon. It still is to some extent. And, I just think the youth make a mistake when they want to just dismiss out of hand the things of the past, because it's like, yeah, man, there's a bunch of old people still here who've seen hundreds of thousands of TV commercials. Sometimes I'll just go watch, you can find like 45 minutes of TV commercials from 1986, and it's like, I don't remember any of it except for, yeah, I remember Mikey liked it, but other than just a few highlights. But if I watch that, I'm like, other than the local stuff, other than the regionally specific local stuff, I've seen all of those national commercials. I have no memory of it until I see it again. I'm like, oh yeah, I've seen this Starbucks ad at least 5,000, a minimum of 5,000 times. I've watched this commercial, Taste the Rainbow. It's like we're going down a water slide of fucking Starburst or whatever. Or maybe that's Skittles. See what I mean? I don't even know what the product is at this point. It's either Skittles or Starburst, or what's the fucking difference? Depends on what textures you're looking for, I guess. You want to unwrap a bunch of presents and chew on some, or you want the hard candy shell and then you want to chew some stuff without having to open a bunch of individual packages. Other than that, what's the real, and, got a little tappy effect with the Starburst, but come on, things are not that different. Some old Werther's original commercial. I'm like, yeah, I've seen that probably 1,000 times. No memory. Just, my opinion is anybody who wants to have an opinion about, the realm, the world, the country, the culture, economies, corporations, you might want to, it might behoove them to brush up a little bit on the past, man. And just, I'm not saying, it's just like, hey, understand that television before the internet, overstate how gigantic television was. And a big part of that was television advertising. Huge, huge. And it's like, yeah, I understand that nobody watches commercials, except back in the day, we watched a bunch of commercials because it wasn't necessarily convenient to not watch the commercials. And yeah, sure, you're going to channel surf, but surprise, surprise, mostly all the channels go to commercial break more or less at the same time. I know, shocking, right? Yeah, go ahead and flip through the channels. Back in the day, or God forbid, you might have to get up and change the channel, right? Could Gen Z even relate to that? I don't think. See, I don't think they can conceptualize. It was easier to just watch the motherfucking commercial than to stand up, walk across the room, and change the channel if you did not have a remote. And they're like, well, what do you mean? Where's the remote? Yeah, sometimes there's just not a remote, sir, or there was. I don't know. Couldn't really say. But when everybody wants to romanticize the 80s and the 90s because it was this just fucking Shangri-La country of abundance, it's like, motherfuckers were poor back in the day, and a TV with a proper remote control might be considered a high ticket item. I don't know why this flatbed's fighting me to the death, but he sure is. He's determined not to let me pass him. So fair enough, we'll go. I guess I'll go 50 back here, sir. So how can I not pass him at 71, but I'm behind him going 52? See, again, shouldn't, and I understand there's hills and this, but it shouldn't be possible. 53 miles an hour to follow him at a safe distance. But couldn't hardly get halfway past him at 71. I don't understand. I don't get it. I feel like I had a pretty good idea of, what things were like in society before my time. And then, it's a little disappointing to, listen to a YouTuber and, where are we at? None of this looks familiar. Am I going the wrong way? No, we're going the right way. And just to, I don't know anybody that watches TV commercials. It's like, yo, man, talking about something it's still in the zeitgeist, right? I understand that marketing campaign, it's fallen out of favor. It's not continuing. Life is no longer one of the top cereals, but they still sell it. I don't know if there's a little kid on the box or not. I don't know if Mikey or some representation of Mikey's still on the box. Maybe he is, maybe he's not. I don't know. Yeah, he's gonna race me. Why are you trying to race me, sir? What do you get out of that? Now I'm risking a ticket just to get around this bozo. He doesn't seem to be speeding unless he's trying to get me to not pass him. I don't know. Anyway, probably mad. And then, at a certain point, everybody had DVRs and VCRs. It was way more seamless to skip the ads if you didn't want to watch it. Fair enough. And I think we all understand the concept of television commercials. I mean, why, with the advent of YouTube, why didn't the commercials just entirely die? If a person doesn't have a proper ad blocker or a YouTube Premium, I mean, the YouTube client serves up ads, and sometimes they're not skippable. So, I mean, you tell me. Bubbaloo. Oh, hell, we are going the wrong way. My GPS take a fucking. Okay, something went wrong. I knew it. I knew something went wrong. Let's see how much does this add to the journey. We might be too far off the route. Trust your gut, folks. Do I have enough time to turn around? Is the question. We do not. Maybe we do. See what the reroute does to us. No, we don't. What the fuck? Oh well, we're just going to bite the bullet. Damn. See, there's these toll bridges, and I'm about to cross the Mario Cuomo toll bridge, and I'm not supposed to. So I always set a waypoint on my GPS so that I won't come this way. That's why I kept saying, "Well, why am I going the right way?" I kept asking myself, "This don't look right." I should have double checked. It finally dawned on me. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I don't think it costs as much going west as it does going east, though. No idea how that happened. I vividly remember setting the waypoint before I left. No idea how it got erased. And I believe we're going to hit way more traffic. It's 4 a.m. This is close enough to New York City. I think we're going to hit way more traffic than we would if we were on the proper route. How long have I been driving? Yeah, hour and a half. Of course, this is the Tappan Zee Bridge. They've renamed it Mario Cuomo Bridge. Governor Mario Cuomo. Mario M. Cuomo Bridge. I think most of the folks still call it the Tappan Zee. I would assume. I think yeah, you know what? I do know what happened. At first, I had it set just to go to the city, the center of the city, and then I set the waypoint. But then I had the actual address already saved in my address history, and when I switched over to that address, I forgot to set the waypoint again. So my memory was that I set the waypoint, and that was an accurate memory. I forgot to do it second time. Oh well, so-called honest mistake, as it were. This can't be that much more money going west. We were going east, and this wouldn't fucking fly. And I think we got a lot more chance of running into the popo. So sure, do some approximation of the speed limit. He's on the bridge now. Pretty cool bridge, I guess. Probably considered some feat of engineering, I would imagine. Yeah, there you go. There you go, Grandpa or Uncle Fatty. Yeah, some version of all that. in the chat. There's a walkway. I don't know who walks along this bridge, but it says closed, reopening. I can't. Let me see. These electronic signs above the walkway. It says closed, reopening. Oh, 6 a.m. I guess they close it overnight. Okay, that makes sense. Reopening at 8 a.m. Let's see. It's maybe bicyclists. I don't know that I've ever noticed a pedestrian. And it's interesting with people dealing with all this cost of living type stuff because, yeah, I understand that rents have skyrocketed disproportionately, and then certain grocery items, beef has apparently gone crazy, and eggs. I don't know, man. To me, eggs are still affordable. I would say, and this is one of those items that, in fact, were artificially inexpensive because of the way the markets operate. That was typically an item that the store took a loss on, actually. So, I mean, if you can still get a dozen eggs for $3 or whatever, I mean, is that really 50? It's 25 cents an egg. So I don't know how that's not reasonable, personally. Yeah, when you're getting into the $10 for a dozen, now that's something different. But the thing about rising prices is when things seem to be going okay, people don't really notice the prices going up as much. The prices are always creeping upward for the most part, just again, in general. And so when you have these huge increases in the short run, now it seems like a lot of people think that, pricing has been mostly flat historically, and now it's just, oh my God, it's the highest inflation of all time and everything's gone crazy. And it's like, no, this is nothing compared to the inflation of the 60s, 70s, into the early 80s. This ain't nothing, right? No comparison statistically. They had it way worse back then. Yeah, certainly the inflation is increased. Nobody's saying it hasn't jumped up, but overall, that happens anyway. It's like, so what's really different? And I would say what's different is we're seeing the end, and this is some version of like a homologation, if that's the right term, and maybe it's not, but or homogeneity. I don't know, some homo word. It's gay, and I think it's the fact that there have been many areas of the country that were dirt cheap, and then you've had just some sort of somewhat affordable hidden gems, like maybe a Portland, Oregon, 30 years ago or whatever, or Seattle with a high quality of life, and then and in fact, I don't know that people, they talk about California and San Francisco. Seattle's the most expensive city, if it's, and again, we're just basically, we're setting New York City to the side. So if it's not New York City, it's Seattle, right? Seattle is absolutely the most expensive city on the West Coast, and that's not going to change. And people just assume that, oh my God, it's California, it's Los Angeles, it's expensive. It's like, okay, number one, rent is expensive everywhere. Number one. Number two, there's a lot of stuff I found to be quite affordable in Los Angeles, personally, having spent a decent amount of time there. It's definitely less expensive than San Francisco for, street food, or, just prepared food is higher in San Francisco for sure. LA is a great food city. SF's it's underrated in my opinion, but um, it's not really important to get into those distinctions right now. But hang on there. Got some car setting up on me. Why are you setting up on me? You setting up on top of me. Why? What's that do for you? I don't see the benefit. How does that benefit you, little car? Um, and yeah, I'm from Arkansas, so I understand you can still rent a shitty, 3 bedroom, and if you're lucky, it'll have 2 bathrooms, but probably you're looking at a 3 bedroom, 1 bathroom house with a small kitchen for $650, maybe $750. Yeah, I know that still exists, and if you're buying a home, there's still a lot of affordable houses, right? And there's nothing in Arkansas. There's a reason why people aren't moving to Arkansas. Yeah, certain parts of the state, right? Either to the middle of fucking nowhere because, they've been sold some dream of, oh, we're going to go live in the Ozarks, or, whatever that is, right? And to them, it's affordable, but it's like, by Arkansas standards, Baxter County, Arkansas, or whatever, up in the northern part of the state, it's not really cheap like it used to be. So if you're from Arkansas, that's, maybe it was cheap. It ain't anymore. But if somebody's coming from some other state, they're like, oh, this is a bargain. Yeah, until everybody comes and buys 20 acres, and now it's not affordable. Right? That's how that works. But for most folks, culturally, it's just a bridge too far. Like, certain folks can just be like, fuck it, we're moving to the Ozarks in northern Arkansas, and that's just what we're doing, and they just move, and everything's fine. But a lot of folks, they get there, they start looking around, and they're like, what the fuck were we thinking? This is crazy. And they leave after a couple of years because they can't, their consciousness and what's going on in their brain is still the society that they came from. And this is, such a culture shock. They can't, it doesn't work, you know? And yeah, there's the stereotype and the trope of the friendly Southerner, but, part of that is the well, bless your heart aspect of, a Southerner don't really give a fuck if somebody comes from another part of the country and looks at a Southerner funny. Like, we're Southerners. I mean, we're used to it on some level. There's just a certain weirdness to being a Southerner. And, surreal, I would say. A surreal strangeness. And I think most Southerners have a deprecating sense of humor about it, kind of a aw shucks swagger in a way. And certainly there's your types that take themselves way too seriously, of course. But it's like no amount of outsiders is going to change that. It's like, yeah, I was in downtown Austin, staying at the Salvation Army, going to the Trader Joe's every day, and I got to know the people that worked there, and I'm not exaggerating. Every single person that worked at the Trader Joe's in downtown Austin was from Southern California. Well, the Southerners from Texas, they're not living in downtown Austin, And the ones who are Texans, they might be apt to go live in California or something for a time. Like, they don't give a fuck. Some of them probably went to college in California. So your aw shucks, kind of bumpkin hick bozos, well, they don't live downtown anyway. They don't go to the downtown Trader Joe's. So what do they care if a bunch of Californians want to move in and work at Trader Joe's? Austin's going to be so-called liberal no matter what anyway. So what's the fucking difference? People are starting to figure out Texas fucking sucks. It's like, yeah, man, depending on where you're at in Texas, it's basically Arkansas. Like, a lot of Texas it's might as well be fucking Arkansas, except, Texas has like way more roads and the speed limits are higher, but it ain't that fucking different depending on where you're at, what you're doing, versus what part of Arkansas you might be in. And that's probably part of the everything's bigger in Texas. It's like, well, yeah, because parts of it are very similar to Louisiana or Arkansas or Oklahoma, just bigger. Like, yep, you got that right. Except they got the superiority complex. And that's that whole thing of, well, we're not Arkansas, we're not Oklahoma, we're not Louisiana. So, it's apparently culturally a lot of Texas is involved in, if you ain't from Texas, you're never going to fit in, even if you move there and live there for decades. That's just how it is, right? Fair enough. If I moved to Texas from Arkansas, it's like I wouldn't be offended because a Texan's like, well, you ain't from here. It's like, you're right. I'm from Arkansas. I'm not from Texas. You're absolutely right, sir. But then I think some of these touchy-feely lefty bozos from the left coast think they're going to move to Texas and make it their home. It's like, no, you're not. They're happy to have you. They'll say don't California my Texas or whatever. But again, if you want to go live downtown Austin as a Californian, nobody gives a fuck. Because again, it's a very specific type of person in downtown Austin, even to the outskirts of Austin. And who cares? But I think the California thing is, I think they're sort of just maybe they get a little confused if they move to like what they think's a smaller part of Texas, and they're not accepted. It's like, yeah, why would they accept you? You ain't from there. But I, as an Arkansan, I know if I go hang out in Texas, yeah, I'm not from here. They're not going to accept me. It's just how that works. I'm going to be tolerated because remember, everything's bigger in Texas. So don't mess with Texas. Everything's bigger in Texas. And part of that is we ain't Arkansas, we ain't Oklahoma, we ain't Louisiana from their perspective. And they're not wrong. So let them have it. And that's why growing up, part of college football was when the Razorbacks won the Southwest Conference Championship, as they did the last 2 years the conference existed. The last 2 years, Arkansas was in it. Arkansas, that means Arkansas beat the whole state of Texas. And that was a big fucking deal. It meant something. Because the Southwest Conference was all Texas teams plus the Arkansas Razorbacks. You know, Texas Longhorns, Texas A&M Aggies, Texas Tech Red Raiders, Texas Christian Horned Frogs, Baylor Bears, Rice Owls, Houston Cougars, and the Arkansas Razorbacks. And maybe I forgot somebody, but I think that's everybody. So, on a regular basis, but, Texas dominated the conference, and then Texas A&M did really good. But in football, it was really Texas, then Arkansas, then Texas A&M, historically. Southern culture, you got to respect it when the little guy comes in there and whoops everybody's ass. It's like, well, all right, they earn their respect. People are into that, or they used to be. I think all of that's mostly gone. And if you see what they've done to college football with the NIL and the paying of the players, it's all over with. And it makes sense from a business standpoint because, if I'm a lifelong diehard Razorback fan and it's clear that Arkansas will never be any good in football ever again. Now people say, oh, sure they will. It's like, no, they'll win like 9 games here and there. But, the idea that they're ever going to actually do anything meaningful, that's just never going to happen. That's not possible anymore. And not in football, maybe in basketball, but definitely not in football. And then college baseball is kind of a different thing, but and nobody cares about college baseball realistically, but so then as a consumer, if I'm willing to watch the games and I'm willing to, and I'm not anymore, I don't watch any of the games, but historically, even if I wasn't that interested nationally, I would still watch my team. Well, they've opened up the business side of it. So at a certain point, I was spending enough time on the West Coast that I started rooting for the Oregon Ducks kind of as a backup team. And then I always was, for some reason, I got fascinated with Indiana because they were so terrible. Like, this is one of these teams that was just god awful. But then this was back in like the 90s and the 2000s. They would just randomly have these just great high scoring offenses just out of nowhere every once in a while. Kansas did this a couple of times where they just like, what the fuck is Kansas won 12 games one year? Like, what the hell's going on? I know Missouri kind of came out of nowhere a couple of years back in the day. And so Indiana kind of caught my attention years ago, and now they're the number 1 team, and they're beating everybody's ass. So, I'll kind of keep up with whatever they're doing, but I don't give a fuck if they win the college football playoff. And I'll actually feel something if the Ducks win a national championship because I've spent enough time in Eugene. I've never been to a game, but I've been there on enough game days. It's a unique, great environment in Eugene on game day. Great fans, and that'd be cool to see the Ducks win. But financially, just like the NFL managed to open it up to female fans, and that's the number one TV show in America is the NFL. In college football, it's like everything else. It's a business, and they've ruined it for me. But I mean, who even cares at this point? I don't even really care. And something happened in Fayetteville where, because historically, Arkansas is one of those, the whole state roots for one team, like Nebraska, Arkansas, it's just the Razorbacks for the most part. And this used to drive me nuts because Arkansas State would be playing somebody. This happened a couple of times when I was out in Oregon, and somebody would say, they know I'm from Arkansas, and they're like, oh, well, the Ducks are playing Arkansas. It's like, no, they're not. They're playing Arkansas State, and nobody gives a fuck about Arkansas State. I can promise you. You can go to Jonesboro, and they're not Arkansas State fans. They're Razorback fans, and even that started to change to some extent. And I could tell when I was homeless in Fayetteville years ago that I would see Razorbacks, stickers on everybody's cars and people rooting for the Hogs. Everywhere I went in Arkansas, but then I got to Fayetteville, which again, I went to college there. I lived in the area for a long time. And it was like, I hardly ever saw any Razorback. Like, you didn't see it on people's cars. They started doing this thing where they started giving they started giving in-state tuition to people from Texas. So I'd be on campus and half the license plates were Texas. Well, when I went to school there, you were just as likely to see Texas or Oklahoma. Like, it wasn't any more prevalent than any other out-of-state license plate. But now, I mean, it's like half the cars, it's Texas. What do I have to do to get away from you, car? Why do you want to drive with a friend? There's no cars on the road. Leave me alone. And then I started noticing that if I did see a Razorback on a car, a lot of times it was somebody with Texas plates, but it was a magnet. And I'm like, oh, they're taking these magnets off when they go home to Texas. I spend enough time in Texas, and I would almost never see that shit in Texas. Every once in a while, I'll be like, oh, look, one of the little magnetic Razorbacks. I guess they forgot to take it off their car when they went home. And, like I say, I don't give a fuck. I mean, I've accepted that things change, and my grandfather's on the fucking all-century team, all-America football player at Arkansas, one of the best players they ever had. Like, I'm good no matter what. You know, I've had my experiences with sport. I would. I attended some of the times they recognized him. You know, again, Arkansas had this legendary football coach, Frank Broyles, who became the athletic director and, was like the assistant coach. They give an award to the top assistant coach. That's the Frank Broyles Award. He's the one that spearheaded Arkansas moving to the SEC, which that's actually what started all this conference realignment. And he was very ahead of his time in a lot of ways. I was at a football game with my grandfather and I was introduced to Frank Broyles. So like a famous person introduced me to Frank Broyles, the famous person. This is my grandson. Shook the man's hand, right? And not that makes me better than anybody. It's like, yeah, I've had my Razorback experiences. I'm good, man. They won the national championship in basketball when I was a freshman. I went to most of the home games. I'm good, man. Moving on. I don't need to romanticize it and it's lament its passing. It was like, yeah, it was great when it happened, and now it's over. Accept it and move on. And let's not forget, the state motto when I was growing up was "Thank God for Mississippi," because Arkansas ranked 49th in almost everything, and we could count on Mississippi to always be 50th. Whatever the ranking was. It's like, well, we're not the worst state; we're next to the worst. So, we knew. It's like, even when things seem good, we're still shitty little Arkansas. So, what's the difference? Like people love that movie Sling Blade. It's like, yeah, man, if you've seen Sling Blade, that's pretty much what it was like when I was growing up, except there were black people everywhere. It was just like that plus blacks. Like, I understand that somebody who's not from Arkansas, you probably looks like some just incomprehensible, inexplicable, this can't even be real. It's like, no, it's pretty much just like that, actually, or it was. I'm sure in a lot of areas it's not that much different today. Dwight Yoakam's character. I'm thinking, yeah, that's pretty much the type of person that was coming to my dad's store. They're pretending to be upstanding and fly right, but deep down they're just pieces of shit. Most of them, not all of them, but most of them. Yeah, yeah, that's about right. Pretty much. It's funny with Billy Bob, and he was on Rogan recently. And I think people are a little confused because they're like, yeah, Billy Bob seems real grounded and centered, and you know, he's rich and very famous and successful, but he's a pretty humble guy, at least these days. And it's like, yeah, he's got a Southern accent, and how long has the man lived in California with a Southern accent? I understand he's this great actor, but do you hear him talk? He's never not going to have that accent. And just because of how he sounds and what that represents, he'll never be accepted in California, period, end of story, under any circumstance. So he's never, that'll keep him humble, right? He talked about one of his, when he was just starting to get known for Sling Blade and was at one of these, you know, high end trendy parties and got put in his place. Some offhanded comment by some, famous actress, in the kitchen or whatever, just a passing throwaway comment to remind him of, oh, this is what they really think of me. Yeah, Billy, that's really what they think of you, and it's never going to change no matter how successful you are. They're always going to view you in a very specific way, and you can't do nothing about it. And that'll either destroy a fella or it'll humble him, one of the two. And it appears to humble old Billy Bob. You seen what old Angelina done to Brad Pitt? She did a number on his bitch ass. Well, Billy Bob more or less ran through her as far as I could tell, and I don't think that's anything to be proud of. But says a little something about Arkansas boy, perhaps. Scottie Pippen's the only person from Arkansas that I can think of that made millions of dollars in sports and more or less lost it all. Well, John Daly, but that's a different thing. He lost it the way he made it, so that's kind of fair enough. Reckless gambling, live for today spirit. So we can't really. He's sort of his own thing. John Daly, the golfer. Anyway, I guess I've been rambling long enough. We never did get into any actual discourses or spiritual topics, but based on the lack of sleep, they can't all be bangers. But I feel pretty good about that. Yesterday's it started slow, but we got there towards the end. It heated up. But anyway, bye.